I'm not concerned overall about how things end up. Basically, because of some of the promises, or all of the promises that are in the Bible. So I understand to a certain degree that everything's going to be just fine, and I just have my part to play. For that reason, I can seem a little cavalier about things, as though I don't care. And that's not true. I care deeply about things in my world and in the world around me. But what I don't do is I don't worry about things I cannot control. My main concern is being obedient to what I feel being obedient to the Spirit of God, how I feel God is asking me, or Jehovah is asking me to do with my actions, my time, my talent, the gifts that He's given me. I feel compelled to do what I'm doing right now with my time, my talent, the gifts that He's given me. So I do this. This is all I can control. I can't control responses. I can't even control favor. I don't open doors. I don't close doors. I don't. The only thing I control is what we're about to discuss. And I dare say anyone else. When I talk to my daughter, about where she's at the stage of life she's at right at that moment, not about how to handle where she will be in 10 years. I tried that when she was younger. It didn't work. And I'm not intentionally making mistakes as I talk to her, but as I get older, I learn. It's just the next step to the next step to the next step with the overall vision in mind. That's usually what people can handle. Because when you share your vision with someone, in a lot of cases you get fear. You know, I've tried before sharing my vision with people, and they will do everything from say, oh wow, that's great, to all the way down to looking down at you for having such a vision. It is what it is. And people, although they say they're rooting for you, will not participate because they don't want to take the risk of participating in large visions. People are more apt to take part in your goal setting. Goals are attainable. It's not on purpose. It's just human nature that it's hard for someone to wrap their mind around such a large vision and see where they can play a part. But if you share with them a particular goal and the sacrifice isn't that great, you may be able to get some participation. Because people have to see short term, for the most part, the benefit. Whether it's a profitable benefit, a charitable benefit, They just don't want to feel like they're wasting their time, their talent, their treasure. So, for that reason, people are very short term. We're talking about first fruits and seed time. The great thing about, well, maybe not the great thing. Genesis 8 explains the obedience and the righteousness of Noah in walking out just the next steps. As we talked about in the previous video, chapter 6 was very different from chapter 7, and chapter 7 was very different from chapter 8. In chapter 6, at such a time when the sons of God were having relations with the daughters of men, Noah and his kids and his family stayed righteous with God in how they lived out their life. And in chapter 7, when God asked Noah to do something that was extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary, Noah and his family, and I want to emphasize, and his family. Family is not just those of blood. Family are those who believe in the goals and the vision. They may not understand the vision. Most people that I talk to, if they can't understand the vision, not most, a lot of people that I talk to, if they can't understand the vision, they will not sow into even the goal. So it's almost better not to even tell them the vision. But with Noah's family, they were willing to walk out the goals with Noah. And it doesn't seem like I said in the previous video, that they had any problem, because there's nothing documented that they had a problem with doing this extraordinary thing with this extraordinary man by the name of Noah. They just did it. So through this great time of 40 days and 40 nights, where the proof of the necessity of the goal of building this yacht and bringing in all these different animals and creeping things and putting on this massive yacht was realized because there's 40 days and 40 nights of flood waters. Now in Genesis chapter 8, that was the beginning of Genesis chapter 8, where the waters stopped, and now it's the 601st year of the first month of the first day. It is time stamped. And I believe it's the life of Noah. Might be wrong about that, but I believe it's the life of Noah. Where the waters have subsided, and now it's time to leave the ark as a family. They've been delivered. What is the first thing to happen after being delivered from the hands of death and being delivered into the promised land to restock and refuel the earth? The very first thing is first fruit. In Genesis chapter 8, verse 13, and it came to pass in the 601st year, in the first month, the first day of the first month, the waters were dried up from off the earth, and Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. The first month, first day, 601st year. In verse 14 it says, so, and the second month, it didn't say so, but I put that in there. And in the second month, on the 7th and 20th day, on the 27th of the second month of the year 601, was the earth dry. And God spoke unto Noah. The Spirit of God is amazing. And Noah is amazing for following the Spirit of God. Now, I know we don't call him the Spirit of God here. But for Noah to walk in the kingdom of God as he understands the kingdom, he had to hear from the Spirit of God. I just feel like I should say this. Because God was not walking with him in the cool of the day. Like with Adam. So Noah, from the wisdom of the past, my God, understood what to do in walking out the presence of God. It's pretty amazing. And God spoke unto Noah, saying, go forth of the ark, thou and thy wife and thy sons wives with thee. That's the family. The dominant and the submissive. Bring forth with thee every living thing that with thee, all flesh, of fowl and of cattle and that thing. Anyway, verse 18. And Noah went forth, and his sons and his wives and his sons' wives with him. Every beast and creeping thing, every fowl, whatsoever creeps upon the earth after their kinds, went forth out of the ark. In verse 20 is where we'll settle today. Well, actually, verse 20 and 21. We'll settle here because after the previous video, video 31, was all set up for this right here for me to explain to you how God operates and how you should operate. The only thing you can do is walk in his righteousness, be obedient to the Spirit of God, and realize this part right here. And Noah built an altar unto the Lord. Very few people understand the nature, the sacrificial nature of the altar. Before you give, you had to have done the previous things. Walked in righteousness, which is obedience and sacrifice. Willing to look foolish to the world. Because when God delivers you, that's the time for verse 20. After he delivers you. If you don't do verse 20 after he delivers you, you miss the whole point. So let's read verse 20. And Noah built an altar unto the Lord. When you build an altar to something, you're dedicating your life to it, or in this case, him, her, his ways. His ways, his method of operating, his laws, his ways of being. You're saying that this is great, that this, him, her, is greater than you. That you didn't do this without the leadership of the one you build the altar to. That's why today, in the year 2025, it is amazing to see all the altars that people build. They build altars to politicians, and cars, houses, even investments like cryptocurrency, and men and women that they follow while saying they follow the kingdom at the same time. After building the altar, then comes this part, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. This is a picture of first fruits. Now, I know you get preached to those who go to church. Now, again, this is from my kids, my brothers and sisters who consider me a teacher. I know you get preached to about first fruits. Like every time you get a new job, that's first fruits. And every time, no. First fruits is when God shows you a door out, you take it, and there's fruit that comes from that. You build him an altar. And on that altar, you offer yourself. Yourself. The reputation of offering yourself is offering God the first of everything. In verse 21, and the Lord smelled a sweet savor. It was sweet because it was in order. And the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground anymore for man's sake. For the imagination of man's heart, evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more everything living as I have done. And before I read verse 22 and close there, it's important to understand that once you have learned to do it right, God expects you to follow him and not man. Once he delivers you, it's important that you don't take credit for the deliverance. And that you offer up to him the dedication of yourself. This isn't about your paychecks directly. This is about the consistency of your soul, of your mind, understanding that it is him that delivers. After the seventh day of rest and all that God has created, first thing to do, or in this case, the first thing that did happen after the drying out of the land, after what some would call destruction, was to build an altar and offer God the first fruit. And if we do that, there's a promise in verse 22. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, in summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. See, even with the promise of the destruction of the earth by government powers, they do not have the power to get rid of this promise. That's on an international level. But on a personal level, you can walk in your power with a life solely dedicated by presenting your offerings on the altar, which is a representative of your heart, dedicating yourself, your burnt offering, as we discussed in a previous video. Well, for you, it'd be a video coming up. For those who follow this from video to video, from Genesis to Revelation. But I believe it's in the book of Leviticus, even chapter 1, where it explains the burnt offering. That dedication, that personal dedication to God, understanding that the first of all things are God's. All things. Will get you to this end point of understanding that your only job is seed time. Which is consistent with the New Testament. Some plant, others water, but it's God that gives the increase. CashApp $TheMrPaulDozier if you want to assist in this service. Or Zelle, paulcdozier at gmail.com. I think that's only here in America. We also have books on Amazon if you're interested in some of the things that I've written. Thank you for taking this journey with me. Those who are interested in the kingdom of God and the kingdom of heaven. Blessings.